Thank you for joining us today for another exclusive interview sponsored by Innovator. Help your horses reach their maximum potential with Innovator's line of natural homeopathic products. I'm your host today, Aurelian Jeremiah. So today we're thrilled to speak with Craig Vincent, the innovative founder of Portable Horse Stables. Growing up in the equestrian-rich environment of Tamworth and armed with a wealth of experience in international trade and manufacturing, Craig has brought a unique approach to designing durable and flexible horse stables. Join us today as we explore his journey from Tamworth to establishing a successful business, the safety and quality features of his stables, and how he leverages his background to meet the needs of the equine industry. Stay tuned for an insightful conversation about innovation, passion, and the future of equine housing solutions. So, Craig, first of all, like I said, great to have you here.
Thank you, Alan. Good to be here. Thank you.
So can you tell us a little bit more about your background in the equine industry and how it led to founding Portable Horse Stables?
So I'm from the local town of Tamworth, which is halfway between Brisbane and Sydney. My father and grandfather, all farming and grazing background. They were using horses all their lives. Dad was very using horses with the sheep and the cattle, but also polo cross and camp drafting and rodeo pickup with his brother. So when I was born, I was immediately thrown on the back of a horse, and I was enjoying my younger years in pony club and playing polo cross up until the age of early 20s, regularly on the horse. Luckily, growing up in the local area of Tamworth, regional town, we were on a farm, so I was able to ride every day and enjoyed it immensely.
Excellent. And regarding international trade and manufacturing, how has this expertise influenced your approach to designing and producing horse stables?
So growing up on a sheep farm, I was very much interested in sheep and wool. I went to boarding school in Armidale, 1 hour north of Tamworth. I studied Japanese all the way through high school, as well as agriculture and sheep and husbandry. So I was able to really enjoy a lot of diversity as a child growing up. At the age of 20, 21, after leaving school, I went down to Sydney and I joined a Japanese international trading company in their wool division, actually, in their buying wool. So using my wool background, I was able to become a buyer and a trader. So classing the wool and ready for export. Wool was 100%, almost 100% exported during those days. So we were able to soon get a life of understanding of trading and foreign currency and exporting to the manufacturers who would then make the garments and the yarn. But after joining the Itochu company, Japanese company, after 1 year, then they realizing I studied Japanese at high school, they sent me to our Osaka office in Japan. Wow. So I found myself buying Australian wool and dealing with Australian colleagues, importing wool into Japan market and selling to the spinners and weavers, and working with them on quality, production, manufacturing, and of course my Japanese language. I was living in the company dormitory and totally immersed myself in the Japanese culture and working culture. So it was a very great experience in my early 20s. I came back after 3 years to become manager of the trading division of the company in Australia. So not only to Japan, but we're exporting to China, India, Europe market. So for 10 years, I was very much involved in exporting of raw materials from Australia in the wool division. And then in the last 10 years, I've still worked for the same company, but I've been able to relocate to Tamworth, in my hometown. And I contract back to them, still doing day-to-day work with them and importing feed and food ingredients for the Australian market. So I often travel to Asian markets, particularly China, to visit the manufacturers and amino acids for the poultry and pig industry, as well as starch products for the food industry, food ingredient industry. So last 10 years being importing, I've been able to grasp a good export and import trading mentality background. Very lucky to be doing it all back in my regional hometown of Tamworth, which is great.
What an amazing and quite unique experience, actually, moving to Japan, then part of Asia, to come back to Australia and your hometown.
Yes, very lucky. Young family. My wife originally from Tamworth, and we met in Sydney, but we came back 10 years ago with two young kids, and they've been able to enjoy the Tamworth upbringing. They're not interested in horses. I'm the last of the Vincent family that love the horse industry, but a daughter who dances and a son who rides mountain bikes. But
Oh,
we've enjoyed everything that Tamworth has to offer in regard to education and proximity to the coast for holidays, 3 hours to the coast. But it's a great area for bringing up a family. But the ability to continue my international trading job with the Japanese company has allowed me to get a confidence in trade, import, export. So during a visit to China 7 years ago, I went via a fabricator in China, a manufacturer of steel cattle panels, and gave them a design of a horse stable panel to make up some samples. And that's where the journey started, really.
Wow. What would you say sets portable horse stables apart, from other stable manufacturers in the Australian market?
The durability, the flexibility, the affordability. I've been to China to visit manufacturer every year. They've come to see me here in Australia every year. Every month we're always catching up. I don't change the manufacturer. They've known me since we started. Early days, customers bought, and I've remained very close friends and relationship with those early customers, particularly in the horse racing industry. They've been able to give me feedback on the quality of what's breaking, what's not breaking, and so when they visit to China from China to Australia, when we visit their farms, we can show them what the horse is doing, how they are damaging, and then we rectify the quality so that what I need to know is my product is able to be sold around Australia without me worrying or concerning about the quality breaking down. I'm based in Tamworth, but we sell all over Australia, so I don't want to be going around fixing panels all over Australia. So the idea is to very much over-engineer the product so that it's very durable, very strong, and it's based on the thoroughbred industry, so that most other horse industries are very much acceptable for quality once we've got the thoroughbreds right.
Excellent. Yeah. It seems like it's a constant innovation in a way, or improving the product to make sure everything is working properly and stable and durable, like you said.
Absolutely. Have direct contact with the manufacturer every day. If any customers show me any photos of anything breaking or any problems, it's immediate. They're very good on the social media, as you know, the WeChat. We can be discussing all day, every day. They can quick response is always great. Like I said, I don't change manufacturer, so I have full control of the quality of the product. But the main selling point is word of mouth, and the product needs to sell itself. So my job is really just to make sure quality and affordability remains as I wanted. And the more people who buy, the more people who tell their friends and their family about them, and we just work gradually with the increasing customer base throughout Australia. So it's been a great challenge, but a great rewarding business, to be honest, because it's been growing every year since we started 7 years ago.
Excellent. Could you share with us some examples of high-profile racing stables, or maybe facilities that that have used your products?
So the main market base has been the breakers and pre-trainers of the horses. So particularly, Magic Millions in Perth bought 20 or 30 stables to add to their existing complex. We deal with a lot of horse breakers, or thoroughbred breakers, particularly Luke Morgan here locally. He bought 30 or 40 stables right from me back in 6 or 7 years ago, and he's been great to be able to be local as well as see the what quality improvements could be done. So he has a great business here in Tamworth and breaks for a lot of the big trainers and owners within Australia. Kalora Lodge up in Queensland have bought many stables over the years. They also break in a lot of thoroughbreds and a lot of adjustment, and those that industry is really quite close knit. So that once we start to find a good customer base in those areas, the trainers themselves come and visit those properties to look at their horses, and they also see the stables in action. So it's really just a matter of working with some good key customers and making sure they're happy, and then the progress sort of sells itself, really, just to make sure, because they are portable panels, but they are very heavy duty for long-term use. So the idea is that the panels stand up and are freestanding inside an existing shed, and for long-term use, so people can use them for long-term permanent use if they wish. But if they ever relocate or want to pull down the panels, they can do that and sell them on eBay or relocate with them. So that's the idea, is to be not fixed into a shed for forever.
Sure, excellent. And as you mentioned, it's very often word of mouth. So if a company is very happy with their products, they will easily, tell their friends and other companies as well, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And the regional race courses and the regional showgrounds in Australia have been established for many years, almost 100 years. There's a lot of stables that were built many years ago that are now longer either too small or breaking down. So those sort of companies can get government grants, or within their own committee can afford to build a shed, and then these panels which go straight inside, and they're already ready for use. It's a matter of just 3 or 4 people standing them up and setting them in place. So I don't find myself a competitor to manufacturers within Australia. This is a different system where it's probably for clubs, for owners, for people starting out. It's more of an affordable flat pack system that can be put up. They're not European ornate looking. They're fit for purpose product. They're one size fits most, so they're 3.6 meters in depth and 2.2 meters in height. A 1.3 meter panel that can be added to make a 5 meter deep stable if it's needed to be bigger. But they're very much keep it simple, limited number of products, but they're flat pack without roofing that goes inside an existing shed. And that's where a lot of the clubs and showgrounds and even people on the farm have a hay shed or a machinery shed. They have children growing up wanting to go into the horses. They can actually put the stables up inside a hay shed, and if they lose interest or go off to university and don't need the horses anymore, they can pack these up and sell them on eBay, and then they get the machinery shed back. So it's very much a product that's suitable for the starting out pony clubbers, right through to thoroughbred, because we've now got a system that the product itself is very durable and withstanding the damage that the thoroughbred horse tends to try to do to the horse stables.
Excellent. You've won many awards for your business. I mean, including, the Tamworth Business Chamber Startup Superstar Award. How has this recognition impacted your business growth?
It's probably not so much for my customer base, but more for myself, as in confidence that the product and the business itself is a good business to be looked at, because they don't just look at the product, they look at the potential, the future, what sort of background in marketing, what sort of background in manufacturing, what sort of quality control. So those sort of processes to go through to be able to be nominated in a business award is not necessarily at face value. So to win those awards, it means that there's other judges out there that are recognizing this product and the business itself is quite unique and sustainable. But the main point of product is the quality. And if I just go into a little bit detail now, the mesh along the top, the mesh is now in 3 sections with it reinforced on either side, because we go into a lot of horse stable complexes, a lot of older ones, and the biggest damage is the mesh along the top where they're kicked up. So we've strengthened the mesh, we've increased the diameter of the wire for 5 mil, and so that's now a very strong and durable product. But probably the most value add within the panels is the infill at the bottom. Conventional manufacturers here in Australia use plywood, which of course is a wood composite product, but our panels have a high density polyethylene infill, which is like a poly pipe but in a sheeting form. It's 10 millimeters thick. It cops a barrage over the years and is not breaking or splitting, so they don't chew at it like they do with wood, and doesn't rot if it gets wet. It's very good for veterinarians because any it's non-porous, so any blood or any saliva or something doesn't stick within the wood itself, so it's easily to be washed down and is disinfectant. But the biggest thing is it's got the flexibility to take the brunt of a kick without hurting the horse's hoof. But that's the value add product, which normally not used in Australia, but because we utilize the manufacturing in China, we can over specify, so to speak, the product itself, so that it's engineered so that it's very durable and not easy to break.
Fair enough. That's great. So you talked a little bit about your background, in Japanese language and international business. How do you see the potential for expanding portable horse stables into other Asian markets?
There's a definite opportunity. We now have a product that I've worked on over 6 or 7 years, which I'm happy to take to any market. So the fact that they're manufactured in China, put in a container and exported to Australia, where we bring the container to Tamworth, unpack the panels, lay them flat, ready for transport, collection, or loading onto a truck. That system can be replicated anywhere around the world. So if there is an Asian market to be set up, in fact, if there's a shed that's already there, we don't do roofing, we don't do manufacturing, so it's a flat pack panel system. So anyone out there, Asia or Europe, who needs durable system panels that can be pinned together is very much a market for us. We've got limited staff, so it's a matter of dealing with the Australian market for now. So we don't have any customers overseas, but it literally is shipping a container across and being manually unpacked and set up. So there's no real rocket science to it all, but its main thing is to keep the quality and the price affordable, and then it'll just continue to grow as it is.
Sure. And being manufactured in China, I would imagine it would be quite easy to export to other, even international markets, actually.
Absolutely. Australia is one of the most difficult countries to export to because we're so far away from everywhere.
Sure,
So
that's true.
exporting to Asia and transporting to Asia and Europe, it's just as easy to go to other countries. Again, with my background in trading and import-export, I had a lot of people a reserve to go into a buying from China's mentality, but with me working my whole life into that industry and that export-import trade, knowing exchange rates and knowing customs clearance processes and making sure documentation, all of that didn't scare me. So it's a matter of just getting on a plane, seeing the manufacturer, getting a relationship, and making sure that we get off on the right foot. I don't change manufacturers to upset them or confuse the market in any way. So I know the product that's coming is all from the same manufacturer, and I can be confident when I sell the product to know the design and the integrity of the product won't change and is under my control fully.
Perfect. Many of our readers are constantly, looking to optimize their training facilities. How can your portable stables contribute, to a more efficient and flexible racing operation?
So many trainers and breakers and pre-trainers already have established grounds, whether it's a horse walker or a water walker, a shed with stables already. These panels can be literally put anywhere. So if there is a roof or a shed within their vicinity or can be added to their existing shed, really it's just a matter of finding the space. The panels can be put back to back to save on space as well as panel numbers to use, so you can save cost in using the panels back to back. They can be put in one long line, they can be faced to each other, so they're really very flexible. We sell a side panel and a gate panel, and it's really how you use them. They can be, a gate can be put at the front as well as the back to go out to a day yard, so they're very much a flexible product to be used, and it's really available just for people who are looking to expand their existing complex. So if they have the spare land and council issues are a problem, this product is actually freestanding on the ground. It don't need to be cemented into the ground. So if they can put a roof over the top or some sort of freestanding skewing off their shed, then these stables are for that sort of environment. So they're very flexible, very affordable. The name itself, Portable Horse Stables, is probably the most basic name we could come up with at the time. We didn't know what else to call the company, but luckily it is, because anyone looking for portable horse stables finds me straight away on the Google hits. So at the end of the day, that some of the easiest and quickest decisions are some of the best. So they literally are a portable horse stable, but they are used for long-term durable use. And if they ever need to be relocated, it's just put them on the back of a truck and take them somewhere and reset them back up again. So we found that a lot of people who are expanding or even downsizing, they've in the past where they've built a big shed, a barn with fixed stables, they can't take with them, or they may not need as many, or they may need more. Whereas this system is flexible, they can take them with them. If they had 10, they can add another 10 to the stables to increase their number of stables, or they can downsize and leave them there and buy new ones. It's the idea is that the product can either be taken with you or be left behind and start again. They're very flexible and portable in that sense, but they are a heavy-duty product that is no problem to have thoroughbreds in.
Excellent. So durable, cost-efficient, easy to install, portable. I'd like to talk more about safety now. It's very important, in a racehorse stabling. Can you elaborate maybe a little bit more on the safety features of your stable designs?
Sure. The connector pins themselves are in the top and the bottom of the panels. They're not on the side, so there's no lugs appearing on the corner points. The latches are all slide bolt system that are put out of the way. So the gates in the door, a slide bolt. We don't go down the path of a slam latch, which can have areas sticking out of a panel that can clip a horse on their way through the gate. We have a safety bolt at the bottom of the door, so that if they have a kick at the bottom of the door, it's locked into place. Like I mentioned before, the mesh is all reinforced on either side. So if the common wall is kicked from one side to the other, they can't break the mesh, because if they do break the mesh is easy to break off and they start playing that with their teeth. So we fix that up. The screws are all flat head, so there's no areas where a horse can kick up and cut themselves. We were born and bred on the horse, so we do know what can happen and what does happen, and you try and do everything you can to prevent those things from happening. But your major sponsor is a vet, so I'm sure there's plenty of ways that a vet has seen how horses can damage themselves. But that's the main thing, is to get feedback from the customers and see what we can do, and then the rest of the time is exposure and word of mouth and getting them set up. So safety is absolutely paramount, but we try not to go overboard to be able to make sure that the panels are safe and durable and still very much affordable in a flat pack system that can be transported around Australia.
So as you mentioned earlier, you returned to Tamworth after years, in the corporate world. How do you leverage your local connections and understanding of the region equine industry to benefit, your clients in the racing sector?
Very much word of mouth and relationships, networking. So I've
Very
found a lot of this is based in the Tamworth area. To have the corporate background of understanding business, understanding payment terms, understanding foreign currencies, understanding manufacturing quality, lead times in order to not over-promise and under-deliver has been my mantra for years in saying that if a product is going to be available, it needs to be available for when the customer needs it. So not to have any issues with slow lead times or anything. So that part of the supply chain is up to me to manage. But the networking opportunities I had while as a young kid growing up in Tamworth in the horse world, a lot of my friends in same age group are now presidents or committee members of different race clubs or any kind of pony clubs now. So to tap into that resource, it's easy enough to get connections and understanding and word of mouth, and to have that background is obviously giving some assurance to the customer I deal with that I'm not just an importer of steel panels from China. I'm born and bred in the horse industry, and this horse panel system is not just derived from a cheap Alibaba site. There's definitely not that at all. So that is definitely a key to know the customers to know that I'm fully behind the product and behind the connections we've made over the years. So for the horse racing industry, those connections I use. My father, retired farmer, went in as a swabbing steward into the horse racing industry for many years. So he got to meet many of the trainers, many of the stewards. So it was a way of him out of retirement of farming to get back into the horse industry. So he enjoyed that for a few years being a swabbing steward. He now drives a truck and forklift for me, and so the two of us are basically running the business and delivering stables. And as we deliver the customer, he's the PR man, because 9 times out of 10 he knows the customer or the parents or the grandparents of the customer. So his background in horse and racing is very good. So it's very vital that we continue that relationship with all our customers, because they know who they are dealing with, and if any issues or problems, we are straight onto it, and we never run away from any quality issues. But main thing is we're putting our family name and our family business behind the product we sell, and that's the best way to keep the business going in the horse racing industry, but also show jumping, show horse, dressage. There's so many other industries within the horses now that we're able to utilize this product in all industries, which is great.
Excellent. And looking ahead, what innovations or improvements do you envision for portable horse stables, maybe to better serve that specific industry, the racing industry?
Yeah, we've found over the years a 3.6 metre panel is not quite big enough for a mare and foal or a stallion. So although we have a one size fits most policy, we've been able to develop a 1.3 metre panel, which can be added on to a panel, whether it's on the depth or the width, to make essentially a 5 metre panel, which is plenty big enough for most customers. So we've been able to develop a new product, so to speak, that will add to the existing ones. So that has been an innovation that we've added within the last couple of years, just purely on the mentality of a 3.6, which is the traditional 12-foot stable. If someone wants it a little bit bigger, then we can accommodate that. So that's been a major increase in our sales lately, to be able to do a larger stable if the customer requires. But it's very much steady as she goes. What we've done in the past is what needs to grow in the future, keeping the customers happy, keeping the product integrity, slowly getting to know the other industry participants. We found recently a large crossover in show jumping. The warm bloods who are doing the show jumping can now also use their facilities to break in thoroughbreds, where there's a lack of breakers and pre-trainers in the market of the thoroughbreds. The warm blood market has been a crossover. So while we've got a lot of show jumping customers, it's sort of growing into the racing network purely on that basis. They can actually, for the cost of a stable of $3,500, they can soon pay that off by having a few extra horses to come in to be the breaking. And with a added bonus nowadays with off the track, where there's a need for another market after racing. There's been a lot of show jumpers become involved in the after racing. They can take them dressage or show jumping. So if they're involved in the start at the breaking and start them doing a bit of jumping or dressage or show work before they start racing, then they can soon revert back to that. So we found that we're crossing all participants within the racing industry in that sense, because we like to keep involved with our customers. But and one way we've been able to give back to the industry is to be sponsoring these events. So the off the track, we don't necessarily advertise in magazines as much as other companies do, but we certainly sponsor a variety of horse events, which is directly giving back to the industry that supports us. So at the end of the day, whether it's barrel racing or show horse or show jumping, thoroughbred, local events that are run here in Tamworth, we very much try to become involved, because it obviously assists those committees and clubs in having some financial benefit, but it also another point of face value is that we're giving back. There's not many other horse stable companies that are actually actively sponsoring events within the horse industry, so we're finding ourselves to be in a market there where we'd like to give back as much as we can. It's a form of advertising as well. They're happy that we're giving back, and they tell their friends and family, and that's how it works. It's all word of mouth, so it's rewarding in that sense. We can actually be in a position where we can sponsor events. It doesn't have to be huge money, but they're very happy to get some sponsorship, and on Facebook and Instagram, they're telling their fellow members who the sponsors are. So it's a way of getting the word out there, and we don't need to be selling at those events, but they just need to know about us. It's purely exposure so that people know about us. And if they're ever relocating or downsizing or wanting to expand, they can just give us a ring and we can do the quotes, and delivery is fine. It's all flat packed. Go all over Australia, so no problem.
Oh, that's great. That's a very interesting strategy as well. Very, like you say, marketing strategy.
Yes, yeah, it's definitely one that's I've personally wanted to do for a long time, to be able to give back to the industry that supports me. So it's a way of, particularly if Show Jumping Club buys a lot of stables, I'm obviously there on the board, on board, ready for the following year to sponsor. So it works both ways. So it works out really well.
Excellent. Well, that was it, Craig. I hope you enjoyed the interview.
Yeah, thanks very much. I've seen you
Thank you
on
so
plenty
much.